The sun hung low in the sky, casting a golden glow over the small town of Silver Creek. Dust swirled in the streets as horses clip-clopped along, their shadows stretching long against the wooden storefronts. The town was a mix of rugged charm and hard beginnings, where dreams met dust and danger roamed freely. At its heart stood the sheriff's office, a modest building that had seen its fair share of trouble, but remained a symbol of hope for the townsfolk. The air was thick with anticipation. In Silver Creek, news traveled fast, quicker than the wind itself. Today was no ordinary day. Folks whispered about an outlaw notorious for his ruthless ways, who had been spotted riding into town like a storm on the horizon. Shopkeepers nervously rearranged their goods while children played nearby, oblivious to the tension brewing. Atop his horse, Marshal Clay Thompson sat tall and proud, adjusting his wide-brimmed hat against the bright sun. Known for his quick thinking and courage, he had earned the trust of many. With a keen eye for trouble, Clay watched as locals exchanged worried glances, sensing that conflict was just around the corner. The gunslinger's reputation cast a shadow over their peace. But Clay thrived in chaos. It fueled his spirit. As he prepared to take a stand against evil in his town, he couldn't shake off the feeling that today would change everything. Little did he know just how much courage and resilience he would need to protect Silver Creek from this new threat. The sun rose higher in the sky, intensifying the heat over Silver Creek as the day unfolded. The streets were alive with whispers and furtive glances, each person carrying a sense of unease. Clay Thompson rode through town on his trusty horse, his eyes scanning for any sign of trouble. Storefronts bustled with anxious customers, and the sound of children playing was now muffled by the tension that gripped the town. As noon approached, a loud crash echoed from the saloon, drawing Clay's attention. He quickly dismounted and pushed through the swinging doors to find a scene of chaos. The outlaw, a tall figure with a dark hat and a menacing glare, stood at the bar, intimidating patrons who cowered in fear. Clay's heart raced. He knew he had to act fast before things escalated. With confidence that came from years of experience, Clay stepped forward and called out to the outlaw. "This is your only chance to leave peacefully," he warned, his voice steady but firm. The outlaw turned slowly, his sneer revealing a dangerous intent. The room fell silent as everyone held their breath. Just then, without warning, the outlaw drew his gun and fired at Clay. The bullet struck him in the back, sending him crashing to the floor. Gasps filled the room as panic erupted, but even in pain, Clay's resolve remained strong. He knew he couldn't let fear win. Justice was still within reach if he could just gather himself and face this challenge head-on. Pain shot through Clay's body as he struggled to push himself up from the floor of the saloon. The world around him swirled in and out of focus, but the urgency to regain control lent him strength. He could hear the murmurs of the crowd, a mixture of fear and anticipation, urging him onwards. Gritting his teeth, he fought through the pain radiating from his wound, fueled by a fierce resolve to protect his town from this outlaw menace. As he finally rose to his feet, Clay noticed the outlaw smirking, emboldened by the chaos he had caused. Desperate to restore order, Clay tightened his grip on his revolver and faced the outlaw again, despite the blood trickling down his back. "This ends now," he declared, his voice steady, projecting authority even through the sharp discomfort. The outlaw's sneer deepened as he prepared to fire again. With quick reflexes, Clay ducked behind a nearby table, using it as cover while strategizing his next move. The townsfolk held their breath, caught between anxiety and admiration, hoping for their marshal's success. In that tense moment, Clay glanced around, sensing the eyes of the community upon him. He drew strength from their faith in him, knowing that he was not just fighting for himself but for everyone who called Silver Creek home. With renewed determination, he prepared to confront the outlaw once more, ready to reclaim control and ensure justice would prevail despite the odds against him. As Clay steadied himself behind the table, he felt a surge of adrenaline. The saloon's wooden floor creaked underfoot as the outlaw eyed him, a dangerous glint in his eyes. With a cold smile, the outlaw began inching closer, clearly enjoying the tension he had created. Clay knew he had to act swiftly, Every second counted. Suddenly, the door swung open, and a group of the Outlaw's gang members burst into the saloon, joining their leader in a coordinated ambush. The mood shifted from anxious anticipation to outright fear as the townsfolk realized they were outnumbered. The sound of boots thudding against the floor echoed ominously as Clay's heart raced. He was now facing more than just one adversary. With little time to think, Clay took a deep breath, clearing his mind of pain and fear. He reached for his revolver, preparing for what felt like an impossible showdown. Just then, the outlaw shouted orders at his gang, telling them to spread out and cut off any escape routes. The crowd shrank back, but Clay stood firm. "You won't take this town without a fight," he shouted, his voice loud and steady despite the danger surrounding him. The outlaw laughed mockingly, but Clay's determination cut through the laughter like a sharp knife. This wasn't just about him anymore. It was a battle for Silver Creek, and he was ready to protect it at all costs. As chaos erupted with gunfire erupting around him, he fought through fear and pain, focusing on securing justice for his town. The air was thick with tension as Clay stood his ground, revolver ready, his heart pounding in his chest like a war drum. The outlaw's laughter echoed through the saloon, but Clay's resolve only hardened. He knew he had to be more than a lawman. He had to be a symbol of hope for the people of Silver Creek. His injury throbbed painfully, yet each pulse reminded him of what was at stake. "Today is not just about you," Clay shouted, locking eyes with the outlaw. "It's about every man, woman, and child in this town who deserves to live without fear." The crowd behind him stirred, inspired by his courage. Clay felt their faith in him wrapping around him like armor, shielding him from despair. As the gang began to move forward, Clay took a deep breath and steadied his aim. He couldn't allow himself to falter. He had faced danger before, but never like this. This was a test of not just strength but willpower. With every ounce of determination he could muster, he thought of the lives depending on him, the shopkeepers, the children playing outside, and even the elderly folks watching from their windows. "You picked the wrong town to terrorize," he declared fiercely. In that moment, his pain became fuel for his fight. As chaos erupted around him with gunfire ringing out, Clay knew that backing down was not an option. He would stand tall for Silver Creek and ensure justice would prevail, no matter the cost. As gunfire erupted in the saloon, Clay felt the adrenaline surging through him. He ducked behind the table, returning fire with precision, his instincts honed from years of experience. Each shot he fired aimed not just at the outlaw but at the fear that threatened to consume Silver Creek. With every bullet, he fought to reclaim control of the town, determined to protect those who looked to him for safety. The outlaw's gang scattered under the hail of gunfire, but their leader remained focused on Clay, his sneer replaced by a fierce glare. "You think you can stop us?" he shouted, trying to intimidate Clay further. But Clay's heart raced not with fear but with purpose. He could hear the townsfolk cheering him on, their voices rising above the chaos like a powerful wave. With renewed vigor, Clay pushed himself up from cover and advanced toward the bar, where he could get a better angle on the gang. "You want to know what I'm fighting for?" Clay called out, his voice steady and loud. "I'm fighting for every person in this town." His declaration rang true as he recalled the families, still hopeful despite the unrest. Clay's focus sharpened. He spotted one of the gang members slipping through a side door, trying to escape. Without hesitation, he sprinted after him, ignoring the pain that shot through his back. This was his moment, not just to confront the outlaw but to ensure justice prevailed in Silver Creek. As Clay burst through the door into the sunlit street, he was ready to chase down each criminal and bring them to justice, no matter the odds against him. As Clay burst onto the street, a wave of gasps followed him from the saloon. The townsfolk had watched in disbelief as their beloved Marshal took on the outlaw. Many had never seen such bravery and courage in one man. With bullets whizzing past, they felt a mixture of fear and admiration for Clay, realizing that his fight was their fight. Some stepped cautiously outside, peering around corners and through windows with expressions of hope and concern etched on their faces. Young boys clutched at their mothers' skirts while older folks leaned on canes, their eyes wide with anticipation. The community was united by a shared sense of purpose, rallying silently behind Clay as he pursued justice. As Clay engaged in a fierce chase down the dusty street, he could hear shouts of encouragement from the crowd. "Get him, Marshal!" someone yelled, while another voice chimed in with, "We believe in you." Each shout fueled his determination to bring the outlaw to justice and restore peace to Silver Creek. Soon, the blast of gunfire began to subside, and back in the saloon, people whispered amongst themselves about Clay's bravery. They felt relieved yet anxious about what would happen next. Some clapped each time Clay hit his target or dodged another bullet, while others held their breath as if every move could mean life or death. In that moment, Clay wasn't just fighting for himself. He was fighting for every heart in Silver Creek that beat with hope. Their faith in him sharpened his resolve even further. This was where he would draw strength to carry on until justice prevailed. After an intense chase through the dusty streets, Clay finally caught up to the outlaw near the jailhouse. The sun was beginning to set, casting a warm glow on the wooden building that stood as a symbol of law and order in Silver Creek. With each step, Clay felt the weight of his injury, but adrenaline propelled him forward. He had to get this outlaw behind bars. As they approached the jail, Clay tightened his grip on the outlaw's arm, feeling the tension in his muscles. The townsfolk who had followed the commotion began to gather around, their expressions a mixture of relief and pride. They whispered among themselves, marveling at their marshal's determination despite his wounds. "You did it!" one townswoman exclaimed, her voice filled with admiration. With a final push, Clay shoved the outlaw through the door of the jail. He followed closely behind, making sure not to let go until the man was securely inside. The weight of responsibility hung heavily on him as he locked the door and turned back to face the growing crowd outside. "Justice has been served," he announced, though he could feel fatigue creeping in from both his injury and the day's events. Cheers erupted from those gathered outside. Their excitement washed over him like a refreshing breeze. At that moment, Clay understood that he hadn't just captured an outlaw. He had restored hope and safety to Silver Creek. The townsfolk clapped and shouted words of encouragement, their faith in him reaffirmed. Even as pain lanced through his back, Clay couldn't help but smile. Together with his community, they had triumphed against fear and darkness once more. After the excitement of capturing the outlaw, Clay found himself sitting on a wooden bench in the jailhouse, the adrenaline slowly fading from his body. The pain in his back throbbed with every heartbeat, reminding him of the close call he had just experienced. A local doctor, summoned by the townsfolk, entered with a bag of medical supplies and a look of concern etched onto his face. "Let's take a look at that wound," the doctor said gently as he approached Clay. As the doctor worked to clean and bandage the injury, Clay's mind drifted to the events of the day. He reflected on how fear had gripped Silver Creek, but also on how courage had triumphed. The townsfolk's cheers still echoed in his ears, a reminder of their unwavering support. "Marshal," the doctor said, breaking his train of thought, "you did a brave thing today, not just for yourself but for everyone here." Clay nodded, appreciating the sentiment but also feeling the weight of leadership. He understood that being a marshal meant more than just fighting crime. It meant being a beacon of hope for others. As the doctor finished up, Clay gazed out the window at the now peaceful town. Children played in the streets, and neighbors chatted amiably, their fears eased. Clay felt a surge of pride knowing that he had helped restore their sense of safety. He resolved to continue serving Silver Creek with all his heart, knowing that true healing came not just from mending wounds, but from fostering trust and resilience within the community. In the weeks that followed the showdown, life in Silver Creek began to return to normal. The townsfolk shared stories of Marshal Clay Thompson's bravery, passing them down as tales of heroism that would inspire future generations. Children played games that mimicked their marshal's daring pursuit of justice, using sticks as make-believe guns while pretending to capture outlaws of their own. Clay took time to heal, both physically and mentally, often visiting with families and hearing their concerns. He listened more intently now, knowing the true weight of responsibility that came with his badge. Each conversation reinforced his commitment to being not just a protector but also a friend to the community. The outlaw's capture had sent a strong message. Crime would not be tolerated in Silver Creek. The bonds formed among residents during that tense time only deepened as they worked together to ensure their town remained safe. They organized regular meetings to discuss safety and support initiatives to help each other. Clay eventually stood at the entrance of the jailhouse one quiet evening, gazing at the sunset painting the sky in brilliant hues of orange and pink. He felt a swell of pride knowing he had made a difference, not just as a marshal but as part of a resilient community. The experience had left an indelible mark on him, a reminder that true strength lies in unity and shared hope. As he walked back toward the heart of Silver Creek, Clay understood that his legacy would be defined not only by his actions in that fateful moment, but by the trust and spirit he fostered within the community. Together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead, ready to protect the town they loved.